I stared at the mugshot for a long time. Orange jumpsuit, smudge mascara. That tight smile she always used when she thought she was superior. Gone. Arrested for DUI. And all I could hear in my head was her voice. Not everyone is cut out for this level of responsibility. So I sent her a card, with her own words inside. If you ever had a boss who abused power, mocked your integrity, and made your job feel like survival instead of purpose, stay with me. Hit like, subscribe, and let's talk about the most satisfying form of revenge. Giving someone their own words back. 5 years. That's how long I worked under Dr. Vanessa Reed. This was in a small therapeutic learning center in northern Ohio. We worked with children on the autism spectrum and kids with severe developmental disabilities. Vulnerable kids. Kids who needed stability, advocacy, protection. I loved the work. I hated my boss. Vanessa was the kind of woman who weaponized credentials. Framed degrees on the wall. Sharp blazers. Immaculate office. But behind closed doors, she ruled through humiliation. Her favorite phrase was, I pay you, you do what I want. Not we're a team. Not, let's do what's best for the kids. Just control. It started small. Emails ignored for weeks. Requests for basic sensory equipment left unanswered. We had students who needed weighted blankets and adaptive communication devices. Families would ask, and I'd have to stall because Vanessa hadn't approved the budget. But somehow, there was always money for new office decor. Then came the accusations. One afternoon, she stormed into my classroom, holding an iPad, like it was evidence in a murder trial. Did you break this? No, it wasn't cracked before. Yes, it was. I reported it 3 weeks ago. She leaned in close enough that I could smell her coffee. You need to start taking responsibility. I remember my hands trembling, not from fear, but from the effort of holding back what I wanted to say. The worst part wasn't the micromanaging. It was the illegal requests. She would tell us to alter service hour documentation. Round it up, she'd say. Insurance doesn't check that closely. She asked us to keep quiet about a bruise one student came in with repeatedly. When I reported concerns about possible abuse, she actually laughed. Don't be dramatic. I went home that night and sat in my car for 20 minutes before going inside because I felt physically sick, and she made my staff cry. Weekly, grown adults who had dedicated their lives to helping children cried in the break room because Vanessa told them they were incompetent. If you don't like it, she'd shrug, go work at Target. That was her thing. Belittling your passion. Mocking your purpose. Be your own problem solver, she'd say, right after creating the problem. I stayed longer than I should have. Because I loved the kids. Because leaving felt like abandoning them. But after 5 years, I started waking up with chest tightness. Sunday evenings felt like dread soaked in concrete. The breaking point came when she dismissed another mandated report concern and told me, smiling, that's why you're not the director. Something snapped quietly inside me. I gave my notice 2 weeks later. My last day, my co-worker surprised me with a small party in the sensory room. Cupcakes. Handmade card. There were tears. Real ones. They passed around the card for signatures. Vanessa added hers last. I saw it later. Not everyone is cut out for this level of responsibility. Good luck. V. No smiley face. No kindness. Just one final dig. I didn't respond. I left. I found a new job at a nonprofit clinic where leadership actually cared. The difference was immediate. Collaborative meetings. Transparent policies. Respect. But every now and then, her voice would echo in my head. Not everyone is cut out for this level of responsibility. Then one Saturday morning about a year later, I'm scrolling social media with coffee in hand. And there she is. County Sheriff's Department post. Mugshot. Arrested for DUI. I zoomed in. The confidence was gone. The control was gone. And I felt something strange. Not joy. Not exactly. Validation. The woman who lectured me about responsibility was handcuffed for driving drunk. The irony was almost poetic. For a few days, I did nothing. Then I drove past a Hallmark store, and the idea came fully formed. Inside, I picked a soft pastel, thinking of you during difficult times card. Simple, elegant. I sat in my car with a pen, and I wrote, "So sorry to hear about your arrest. Not everyone is cut out for this level of responsibility. Good luck." No signature. She would know. I mailed it to her home address. The act itself was quiet. No social media blast. No gossip chain. Just a stamp. Weeks later, I heard through an old coworker that Vanessa had been furious about anonymous harassment. She apparently ranted in a staff meeting about people trying to undermine her. The irony was breathtaking. She had built her career on intimidation, and one sentence, her own sentence, destabilized her. The beauty of it wasn't cruelty. It was symmetry. She spent 5 years throwing that phrase like a weapon. I returned it. Same words, different context. And suddenly responsibility meant something real. I didn't ruin her career. I didn't expose her publicly. Life did that part. I just mailed a reminder. Here's what I've learned. People who constantly lecture others about responsibility often avoid looking in the mirror. True leadership isn't about power. It's about accountability. And sometimes the most satisfying revenge isn't destruction. It's reflection. If this story hit home, leave a comment about the worst boss you've ever had. Hit like if you believe karma eventually circles back. And subscribe for more stories where toxic authority finally meets consequences. Because sometimes the universe handles a heavy lifting. You just add punctuation.